Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Yes, all my fellow war lovers and medieval mystery fans, hit the bell icon to be notified every upload. Thank you and enjoy. In medieval times, blacksmiths were often perceived as possessing supernatural abilities due to their mastery over fire and metal. Their craft, which involved transforming raw materials into essential tools and weapons, was both revered and feared. This perception elevated their status within their communities, leading to a complex relationship with those around them. Medievalists. The process of forging iron was seen as a form of alchemy, a mysterious transformation that bordered on the magical. This association was not limited to Europe. In West African societies, blacksmiths were believed to control a powerful force called nyama, granting them significant influence and, at times, causing others to fear them. In various mythologies, blacksmiths were often linked to deities or considered to have divine favor. For instance, in Lithuanian mythology, the deity Teljavelis was a divine blacksmith who forged the sun and was associated with celestial events. The tools and weapons crafted by blacksmiths were not merely functional, they were imbued with symbolic meanings and believed to possess inherent powers. The act of forging was intertwined with rituals and traditions, further enhancing the mystical aura surrounding the blacksmith's profession. This blend of essential craftsmanship and perceived magical prowess positioned blacksmiths uniquely in medieval society. They were indispensable for their skills, yet often regarded with a mix of admiration and apprehension due to the mystical connotations of their trade. Medieval castles, with their imposing structures, have long dominated the landscapes of Britain and Europe. Today, many stand as decaying relics, their secrets buried in time. However, a remarkable project in the Burgundy region of France is bringing these secrets back to life. Guédelon Castle, the world's largest archaeological experiment, is a 25-year endeavor to construct a castle from scratch using only 13th century tools, techniques, and materials. Historians and archaeologists, including Ruth Goodman, Tom Pinfold, and Peter Ginn, have immersed themselves in this project to rediscover the skills of medieval castle builders. Over 6 months, they experienced the daily rigors of medieval construction, from labor-intensive quarrying to mastering the art of combat, providing invaluable insights into the lives of those who built these monumental structures. The origins of British castles are distinctly French, introduced during the Norman conquest of 1066. The initial structures were primarily wooden motte and bailey designs, favored for their speed and cost-effectiveness. Following the conquest, the Normans erected hundreds of these castles across England and Wales, establishing their dominance. At Guédelon, one of the first structures completed is a classic wooden motte and bailey, exemplifying this early design. The motte refers to the mound topped by a wooden tower, while the bailey is the enclosed courtyard surrounded by a palisade fence. This design evolved over time, with wooden palisades giving way to stone curtain walls, marking the transition to more durable and imposing stone castles. The construction of stone castles required immense skill and precision. Masons played a crucial role, building walls with rubble stones and incorporating leveling courses, rows of carefully dressed flat stones, to strengthen and stabilize the structure. This technique ensured the walls remained robust and true as they rose in height. Quarrying the necessary stone was a laborious process, demanding expertise to extract large blocks without modern machinery. Quarrymen, often working as masons, passed down their skills through generations. The extraction involved creating precise holes for wedges, exploiting natural cracks in the rock to split massive stones, a testament to their deep understanding of the material. The Masons' Lodge served as a communal space where these craftsmen gathered to eat, drink, and discuss designs. These lodges became symbolic, housing the closely guarded secrets of the mason's craft and serving as centers for teaching geometry, a fundamental aspect of medieval construction. The construction of castles was a collaborative effort, relying on the expertise of various craftsmen. Blacksmiths were essential, forging and sharpening tools, while carpenters applied sophisticated geometry to create wooden structures and scaffolding. This interdependence of skills was crucial for the successful completion of these monumental edifices. Guédelon Castle stands as a living testament to these medieval techniques, offering invaluable insights into the craftsmanship and community spirit that brought such structures to life. Through this project, the once-lost secrets of castle construction are being rediscovered, allowing us to appreciate the ingenuity and dedication of medieval builders. In the medieval era, castles were not solely monumental stone structures. Their construction heavily relied on timber. Wood was indispensable, forming the framework for roofs, doors, walkways, and drawbridges. Beyond these permanent features, timber played a crucial role in the building process itself, providing materials for scaffolding, lifting machinery, and everyday tools like buckets. At sites like Guédelon Castle in France, the prominence of wooden scaffolding is unmistakable. These temporary structures, essential for workers to access various heights during construction, were among the most precarious and potentially hazardous aspects of the build. Historical records reveal the dangers associated with medieval scaffolding. Notably, in 1138, William of Sens, the master builder of Canterbury Cathedral, suffered a fall from such scaffolding, resulting in paralysis. Central to the stability of these scaffolds were putlogs, timbers that protruded from the walls to support scaffold planks. Builders embedded these logs deeply into putlog holes within the walls, allowing the scaffold to rise in tandem with the structure. This method eliminated the need to erect scaffolding from the ground up repeatedly, streamlining the construction process. Florian Ranucci, the master mason overseeing Guédelon Castle, emphasizes the importance of worker safety. While striving to adhere to 13th century building techniques, certain modern adaptations are necessary to protect workers. For instance, contemporary scaffolding at Guédelon incorporates iron components and machine-processed wood. In contrast, medieval scaffolds would have utilized hand-hewn timber and relied on ropes instead of metal bolts for securing joints. Despite these adjustments, the fundamental principles of using wood for scaffolding remain consistent with historical practices. The envisioned chapel within Guédelon Castle's East Tower exemplifies the integration of carpentry and masonry. Chapels were vital in castles, serving as spaces for the lord and his family to engage in daily religious observances. To facilitate the mason's work on the chapel tower, carpenters must first install the necessary scaffolding. This process involves precise preparation, including crafting mortise and tenon joints, a technique still esteemed in modern carpentry for its strength and durability. The interdependence between carpenters and masons extended to other craftsmen, notably blacksmiths. Blacksmiths were indispensable in producing tools and hardware essential for construction, from hinges and window bars to chains for drawbridges. At the base of Guédelon Castle lies a blacksmith's forge, where artisans like Martin Claudel fabricate the metal components required for the build. The process of smelting iron to create tools is intricate and demanding. It begins with mixing crushed clay, sand, and water to construct a furnace or bloomery. Once assembled, the furnace is loaded with charcoal and scrap iron, then heated to temperatures exceeding 1,300 degrees Celsius. This intense heat melts the iron, allowing impurities to separate and resulting in a bloom, a mass of usable metal. This bloom is then hammered to expel remaining slag and shaped into tools. The ability to produce steel, an iron alloy with specific carbon content, was particularly valued for crafting sharp, durable tools like axes. The construction of castles also significantly impacted the surrounding environment, especially forests. Lords often cleared vast woodland areas to procure timber for building and to create arable land for agriculture. Interestingly, there are more forests in France today than there were in the 13th century, highlighting the extensive deforestation that occurred during medieval times. The location of Guédelon Castle was strategically chosen, in part, due to its proximity to forests, ensuring a steady supply of wood for construction needs. In essence, the erection of medieval castles was a complex endeavor that necessitated the collaboration of various skilled craftsmen. Carpenters, masons, and blacksmiths each played pivotal roles, their combined expertise culminating in the formidable structures that have, in many cases, withstood the test of time. On the heart of medieval construction, the sanctity of the Lord's Chapel was paramount. To ensure uninterrupted worship, carpenters ingeniously designed wooden galleries or walkways connecting the main building to the castle walls without intruding upon the chapel's sacred space. These structures were meticulously planned using the principles of geometry, a testament to the craftsman's profound understanding of mathematical concepts. During the Middle Ages, parchment was a precious commodity and paper was still a rarity. Consequently, carpenters resorted to drawing full-scale plans directly on the tracing floor, a practice that allowed for precise measurements and clear visualization of the intended structure. This method not only economized materials, but also facilitated collaboration among the craftsmen, ensuring that every detail was accounted for before the actual construction commenced. The process began with the careful selection of timber, chosen for its size, strength, and suitability for the intended purpose. Once the wood was prepared, carpenters would mark out each component of the gallery on the tracing floor, adhering to the geometric principles that governed their designs. This approach ensured that all parts fit together seamlessly, resulting in a sturdy and aesthetically pleasing structure. One of the remarkable aspects of medieval carpentry was the reliance on proportional mathematics rather than standardized units of measurement. Carpenters used body-based measurements, such as the length of a thumb, inch, handspan, or foot, to determine dimensions. This system, while variable, was practical and intuitive, allowing craftsmen to work efficiently without the need for standardized tools or references. To create straight lines on the tracing floor, carpenters employed a technique involving a string coated with red ochre powder. By pulling the taut string and snapping it against the floor, they left a clear, straight line, a simple yet effective method that exemplified their resourcefulness. Corresponding lines were then transferred onto each timber section, ensuring accuracy during assembly. Once all components were marked and cut, they were assembled on site, often using mortise and tenon joints, a technique that provided both strength and flexibility. Carpenters also chiseled unique marks into each piece, serving as a code to identify and align parts correctly during construction. These marks were essential, especially when disassembling and reassembling structures, as they ensured that each component returned to its proper place. The culmination of this meticulous process was a fully assembled gallery, ready to be installed within the castle. This pre-assembly allowed for adjustments and refinements, ensuring that the final structure was both functional and harmonious with the castle's overall design. The gallery not only facilitated movement within the castle, but also stood as a testament to the carpenter's skill and the sophisticated engineering practices of the time. Beyond the structural elements, the daily life within a castle was sustained by essential facilities like the kitchen, where bread was a staple of the medieval diet. Bread making was an art in itself, with techniques varying across regions and cultures. In Poland, for instance, a traditional flatbread known as podpłomyk was made using simple ingredients like flour, water, and salt. This ancient form of bread was baked on an open fire, reflecting the resourcefulness of medieval communities in utilizing available resources to sustain themselves. The preparation of bread involved creating a dough that was then baked in stone ovens, heated by burning wood. The process required skill and experience to ensure the right texture and flavor, making bread not just a food item, but also a symbol of sustenance and community within the castle walls. The interconnectedness of various crafts, carpentry, masonry, blacksmithing, and baking, was evident in the construction and operation of a medieval castle. Each craftsperson's expertise contributed to the overall functionality and resilience of the fortress, showcasing a sophisticated understanding of engineering, geometry, and resource management that continues to inspire admiration today. In medieval times, the process of bread making was labor-intensive and required significant skill. The quality of the bread depended heavily on the ingredients and the methods used. One such method involved the use of a sourdough starter, a natural leavening agent that was passed down from one batch to the next. This starter consisted of a mixture of flour and water that fermented over time, cultivating wild yeast and bacteria. This fermentation process not only leavened the bread but also imparted a distinct sour flavor. The dough would be kneaded thoroughly to develop gluten, which gave the bread its structure and chewiness. After kneading, the dough was left to rise, allowing the yeast to ferment the sugars in the flour, producing carbon dioxide and causing the dough to expand. Once risen, the dough was shaped into loaves and placed in ovens for baking. The design and construction of these ovens varied across regions. For instance, the taban oven used in the Middle East was a clay oven where flatbreads were baked by placing the dough on the inner walls or the floor of the oven. This method imparted a unique texture and flavor to the bread. In Europe, different regions had their own traditional breads. In England, the manchet was a high-quality yeast-leavened bread made from fine wheat flour. It was considered a luxury item, often associated with the upper classes. The dough was meticulously prepared, kneaded by hand, and sometimes even trodden underfoot to achieve the desired texture. The loaves were small enough to be held in the hand, making them convenient for individual consumption. The baking process required careful attention to temperature and timing. Ovens were typically heated by burning wood, and the heat was regulated by adjusting the amount of fuel and the airflow. Bakers had to rely on experience and intuition to judge when the oven was at the right temperature, as there were no thermometers available. Once the bread was placed in the oven, it had to be monitored closely to ensure it baked evenly and did not burn. The finished bread was a staple of the medieval diet, providing essential nutrients and energy. Its quality and availability were indicators of social status and economic prosperity. The skill of the baker was highly valued, as good bread was central to daily life and communal gatherings. Understanding these traditional bread-making techniques offers insight into the culinary practices of the past and highlights the cultural significance of bread in medieval society.